Okay, so Mrs. White has requested that we record the rest of this video, so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so right now we have gone to our Canvas course, and we have gone to the left side of the screen where we have a C with the arrow, and that's going to be the Canvas Commons. So we've entered the Canvas Commons, and this is where you can start not necessarily building your content, but this is where you can start exploring, getting ideas from other teachers. You can search for things for your own specials, for your own ELL. And as this summer continues, if you don't see something that's relevant, keep checking back, because all over the United States, elementary schools have been tasked with doing what you've been tasked. For the first time ever, we are going to ask kindergartners to do distance learning. And so Canvas has been rolled out for elementary schools all over the US. So you guys are part of about 100,000 teachers who are doing the same thing, and they're going to start backfilling this with content over the summer. So keep checking for that. So let's say that we want to do a calendar. That's the first thing that we do in the morning for a lot of elementary classes. So you can do calendar. And then you're going to come over here to the filter, and you're going to filter by your grade level, because a kindergarten calendar is going to look a lot different than a 5th grade calendar. So let's take a look at kindergarten calendars. Okay, so here we go. Here's a calendar, a monthly calendar right here that someone has. You have calendars for weeks. Let's see, here's a reading calendar. Got some cute panda calendars. So there's a lot of different things that people have already built in that you can simply copy into your course. Okay, so let's take this one up at the top. You can also sort by most downloaded or most favorited, and sometimes that'll give you a really good one. So let's see. I'm gonna look for something that's kind of cutesy. This looks kind of cutesy. Let's go ahead. It's just an image. Here we go. Monthly calendar course template. So if you're going to pick one of these, let's get one that's just all grades. People say all grades, but it's really not. Let's look for kindergarten. There we go. Oh, these are fun songs. I don't know why this is pulling up in calendars. All right, the one I was looking for, I'm not seeing right now. It's a fitness calendar. Toma, you could look at that one. I'm sorry, for some reason it's not. I had it favorited on the other computer and it's not pulling. Let's try this one. Okay, so this is a page and it's a calendar homepage. So we're going to click on this and we're simply going to import it. And you can do this for any content. So I'm going to come down here to the Broadmoore sandbox and I'm going to import it into the sandbox. Then I'm going to come back over here to the dashboard. So whenever you kind of get deep or lost or kind of a couple of pages in, you can always click on this little dashboard button, and that's going to take you back to your main screen so you can get back to where you want to go. So we're going to come down here and we're going to find the Broadmoore sandbox. And that content should already be imported into Broadmoore's content. So the Commons told me it was a page, so I'm going to come down here to my pages section. That's where it's going to be imported. If it were an assignment, it would have been imported into the assignments tab. If it were a quiz, it would be imported into the quiz tab, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a page. We're going to go to view all pages. And there's that calendar homepage that we just imported. So it's that easy to take something off the Commons area and pull it into your sandbox. Okay, so this looks like a great calendar for maybe a middle level math course, so students can see all of the different things that they're working on. This is, see, week 2, remote learning. This is when everybody got started with Canvas. Okay, so you can add links to all of your activities. For this would probably work for a 5th or a 6th grade class. So on these 2 days, these were the activities that you had for that day. And it was very visual, very clickable, very easy for the kids to see what they were doing. Okay. All right. So, like Ms. Hendricks said, everything that you do during the day, think about how we can incorporate that into Canvas. So you would have your calendar up on the board. You could have a link to the local weather channel. So you could go to KFOR and you could find a link to their weather map so that you could see what it looks like. Or you can have a link to one of their outside cameras. So if we go out here to kfor.com, not showing favoritism, that's just the only one that I've ever used. And so you wouldn't want to do this in front of the kids, obviously, but they have a Wednesday weather school. And so they have just a real quick link, and you can go there every day. And so you can take this video, copy this link into your Canvas page, and every day they can watch the Wednesday weather school. Or every day they can come in and go to the main weather page, and they can look at the maps and the radar, or they can look at the forecast. And so you can put this actual link on your calendar. So I'm not sure, this is a quote that I've always used: work smarter, not harder, right? Why create new content every day when the content is already there? So think about ways that you can incorporate some of the information that's already there into your class each day. They also have weather cameras. And so I know Mathis Brothers has a weather camera that looks out over I-40. And so you can just show that camera and then ask the kids, what do you see? Do you see rain? Do you see clouds? Do you see sun? And that could be part of your weather. And then I'll show you in a second when we get to the home page how easy it is to put these links into your website, okay? All right, so continuing on. You've done the calendar, and now you maybe are going to start with reading time. So you would open up a book and you would read that book to your students. If you're in the classroom, you're still going to do that. You're still going to open that book and you're still going to, in front of your students, read that book to your students. However, if we enter a distance learning phase, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. We all loved the idea of Zooming with all 30 of our students so that we could read them a book live. And I think we all found out that that was not going to work. I know that my youngest son was on 6th grade Zooms several times with his Sky Ranch teachers, and it was chaos. So you can record yourself at home reading that book, or you can record yourself in the classroom. So one of the things that I did was I used a program called Loom, and I'll show you guys how to do that, where I would record the smartboard and my voice as I was teaching the classroom. At the end of the lesson, I hit publish, and that link went directly to my Canvas. And so if I had a student who was absent that day, they had the entire lesson that I taught.
Option 2 students would need access to that too. So that's
Yes.
why we're going to have to link those kinds of things to it.
Absolutely. So basically one of the criteria that we said was, if your student for any reason is absent for a day, if there's anything that you would expect them to make up, that information needs to be included in your Canvas. So for instance, if you wanted them to do the worksheet activity, then that worksheet activity simply needed to be uploaded to Canvas. And it's super easy. I can show you how to do it, even if you don't have an electronic copy of the paper. If you wanted them to read a chapter in the textbook, then that chapter in the textbook needs to be accessible from Canvas, which all of our textbooks are accessible through Clever, so we don't have to do any extra work there. So there's a lot of stuff that seems overwhelming, but the technology is actually going to make it easier. And one of the things that you're going to find out as you start to use Canvas is that the biggest time consumer for teachers is what? It's grading, right? Taking home a stack of worksheets, grading them, putting them in your paper grade book, then uploading it to Infinite Campus. Canvas is going to do all of that for you, Okay, so a lot of what we're doing right now, we call it heavy loading. So there's a little bit of extra work that we have to do right now to get the process set up, but it is going to make our job day to day so much simpler in the long run. And so it's kind of that end game that you have to keep in mind, okay? All right, so we've done our morning calendar. We've read a book to the students. If the students are not there, a lot of the books that we read actually already have videos on YouTube of someone reading it, especially now. A lot of celebrities are posting on YouTube them reading stories to the kids. So you don't even have to add that additional time. All you have to do is find someone on YouTube who's read that book, make sure it's appropriate, please, and then post that YouTube link. You can embed that directly into your Canvas page. All right, so we've done calendar, we've done a story. Now let's do a lesson. So let's say that we're going to teach a short math lesson. In the classroom, we might have manipulatives. In the classroom, we might have stations. In the classroom, we might have small worksheets that we're doing. So how can we get that into a Canvas page? Well, we have a lot of interactive games that are online that you can link to your Canvas page. We have some, Deborah, I'm not sure which resources are you using, Study Island and Renaissance?
Myon we use a whole bunch of, but it doesn't, none of that's confirmed by the district yet on what they're providing for us. You know, we've all had Lexia, and it's not looking like we will be able to continue funding Lexia.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's going to phase out, if it's just going to be some grade levels instead of all grade levels. It's kind of the talk right now. But,
okay.
So we really can't say. Study Island, I have purchased only for 6th grade for a while because there's just not enough time in the day for everyone to get everything in that we're paying for.
Okay.
Vocabulary is one that I've paid for everyone that if the interest is still there, I've been looking at the data of usage. But a possibility of me being able to continue to provide for everyone, all grade levels.
Okay, so
Sure.
Teachers, what Ms. Hendricks is saying is something that I've heard from principals across the board. They are, because all of the budgets have been cut, they're looking at usage rates. So we've got some great programs that are not being utilized because in the classroom we really don't need to utilize them as much, but in this distance learning we are. So what I want you to pull out of that is if there's a program that you like, use it. Use it as much as possible, implement it into the course, because if the principal goes to administration and says 80% of my teachers use this program, they use it with all of their students, it's a lot easier to get that budget approved for the next year. So if you've got something you like, share it with your other teachers, make sure that everybody in the building is utilizing it. Go, hey, I've got this really cool thing. I want to use it again next year. Let's get everybody on board with it. So the more you guys can do that, the easier it makes Ms. Hendricks' job getting that funding approved. Because that's definitely something that they're looking for. Even at the high school level, we have had to justify programs that have been standard. And we have found that some of the programs that we're spending thousands of dollars on, we have a single teacher who's using it once or twice a semester. So it's not justifiable. So vocabulary, I think, is one. I'm glad you guys are doing that. That goes across the board. It's got great licensing with Canvas. It's very easy to implement, and it's a really good way to kind of do those quick lessons. Khan Academy is another one. Khan Academy is cross-curricular. They have lots of videos. It actually goes down pretty low. And they are completely fair use policy for Canvas. So kind of find some of those resources that have the material. Your online textbooks are going to be your biggest resource right now. All of the new curriculum adoptions that we're doing have to have an online component to them, and your students have access to that. But one of the things that they have, and again, I'm speaking from the secondary level, but I've looked at a lot of the, I know we looked at Pearson's Envision for math with Mrs. Fiacconi earlier this week, and some of your science curriculum has some online components that we really haven't used because
They've
the
been
student,
pulling up their wonders for their reading. They've been pulling that up on their smart board, many of them, and using those online components.
good.
So
Good.
that's another start.
And these online textbooks have done a really good job of adding videos. So the part of the class that you would normally teach in lecture form on the smartboard, your textbook may already have that within their online curriculum. So get with your curriculum coordinator and find out what resources are available. So instead of you having to record a lesson or go and find a lesson, it's already there. And it correlates to your textbook, which means it's going to correlate to our standards. And so it would be really easy to implement that in. Okay, so that's another one of those options where the same material that you teach needs to be on Canvas for students who are not there. It doesn't have to be one for one, word for word, but as long as they have access to that same learning materials. Okay, all right, so we've taught the lesson, now we have a worksheet. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick because I want you guys to see this. Okay, I don't know about you, but when I started teaching, I walked into a classroom with a teacher who had four drawer file cabinets. Every file cabinet was full of manila folders, and every manila folder was full of worksheets. And it was organized by chapter, it was organized by subject, but nowhere in the world existed an electronic copy of these worksheets. So when they say things like, oh, just put a copy of the paper online, you're like, I don't have an electronic copy of this piece of paper. I have a manila folder that was handed to me by the teacher who retired after 25 years, and I'm pretty sure some of it was run with a ditto machine that they actually rolled with purple ink. I do have some of those old worksheets. All right, so you guys are going to use your phones. If you haven't already, I want you to download the app called Office Lens, okay? And it looks like this. Oh, it's a red screen, and it's got a little N inside of it. It's free. It's one of Microsoft Office's programs. I'm going to see if that'll, am I lighting here? There it is. So this little red one right here. Now, the really cool thing about Office Lens is that it integrates directly with all of your Office products. So anything that you use to take a picture, anything you take a picture of with Office Lens, you're going to be able to upload that directly to your OneDrive account. So I'm going to show you how this works. It's just a camera, and at the bottom it has some options. It'll say whiteboard, document, business card, or photo, and you can use it for any of those resources, but we're going to use the document, and here's why. So you have a piece of paper. This is the worksheet that you would normally go run off 50 copies for and give to your students in class. But little Johnny is absent for 2 weeks because his uncle went to spring break and got COVID, and now the whole house has to be quarantined, right? So you're going to take this paper and you're going to set it down on your desk, and you're going to take a picture of it with your phone. And you don't even have to make sure that you get the whole, let me move all my cords out of the way. You just need to put this piece of paper on a flat surface and take a picture of it, okay? Now your picture, that is not what you want to save a file of, is it? You've got all of this background stuff and your edges. Well, Office Lens will automatically draw a box around the paper, and it will get rid of all of that extra noise. So no black edges, no tables. It makes sure that everything is nice and 90-degree edges so that you can print this off and actually run it through a photocopier. So we're going to hit done, and we're going to save that, wait for it, directly to our OneDrive. And now we have a PDF copy of that piece of paper. Okay, so for some of you, the first thing you need to do before you start building your Canvas page, before you start anything else, is you need to get PDF copies of all your worksheets. And you've already got them. If you're a first-year teacher, then the other teachers in your building are going to have copies that they're eventually going to share with you anyway. just go ahead and pick up a copy of them now. But those PDF files that this will save is going to allow your students to view that document from any device. They don't have to have Microsoft Word. They don't have to have a computer. They don't have to have any storage space on their device or their phone. It's not going to charge them data. They're going to be able to simply look at a picture of this document and they can write the answers down on a sheet of notebook paper. Okay. PDF
is where departmentalized would just have, you know, one thing and get to do it several times. Self-contained, this brings back memories of being a self-contained teacher where you plan together. So you're following the curriculum guides and the curriculum maps to do the same topic and divide and conquer. One of you be responsible for uploading for the week or sending to everyone's OneDrive. If you want to do different home pages, you could have a first grade homepage that's all of you for your roadmap. So you're all able to manage it. And one teacher manages the uploading for reading. One teacher does math. One does the science and social studies. One does the calendar. That way it's not everyone having to do the same thing. Please put your own twist to it and personality in your teaching in your classroom. But as far as what's uploaded and what you're teaching from, use each other to plan together. And that doesn't mean solely you have to do the reading. That means everyone sits down together and says, oh, this would be a good thing to use, or well, I've really used this and like it. And then you choose what you upload. If you want to add to it for your class because 4 out of 5 liked it, but you didn't, don't upload it to yours, or just exclude that one from yours.
Yep. So
start thinking that way in planning instead of making yourself feel completely overwhelmed by feeling like you have to do it all. Like, I mean, I'd be thinking it's as self-contained. Boy, this might be the time to change to departmentalized where I only have to do 5th grade math and I can do the same thing 4 times. But really, if you divide and conquer and you just are responsible for the uploading and planning portion of getting it onto Canvas for your grade level for one subject, that's the same thing. And that's working the smarter, not harder, like Wendy said.
And you guys already do this. I've seen you guys in work. If you have 4 first grade teachers, you don't plan your entire day on your own. You don't make your copies and then the other first grade teacher makes their copies and then the other first grade teacher makes their copies. You've all figured out who's good at the copy machine, who's really good at making them together, who's really good at finding the curriculum, who has the best stash of worksheets. You already know how to divide and conquer. Just kind of think about it on an electronic level. One of you in your group is going to be good at making home pages. One of you is not. So if you're not good at making home pages, let somebody else make the home pages and copy it and put your name on the top of it, because you might really be good at organizing all of the electronic files. Thing on PDF, and I'll sort it into folders and I'll do that and you do the home pages and then we're good. Now, let's think about you guys who don't have a team. So I taught 6th grade math. I was the only 6th grade math teacher in that building, but I was one of 24 6th grade math teachers in the district. We all had the same resources. We all had standards. We all had the same curriculum. We all had the same school calendar. So find those sources. My first year was miserable because I tried to do it all on my own. My second year, I found Charles Dutton and Jennifer Lowry and Lenora, and we all worked together and we all planned together, and all of a sudden I had a team and it was so much easier. So you guys are really good at that. You just have to kind of expand what it looks like now. It's just going to look a little bit different. But everybody knows who's good at what in your building. And if you don't, I'm sure Ms. Hendricks can help you figure that one out. Okay.
And the resource teachers then
pull
from the files of the reg ed teachers in that grade?
Mm-hmm. So I've talked about this with some of the special ed teachers because for you guys it looks a little bit different. And if you do not appreciate the lesson planning for some of your special education teachers, some of your resource teachers, when you go back to school in August, ask to look at their lesson plan.
Amen.
For some of you guys, it's not something that you really think about, but especially on the high school level, I went in to help a teacher move their stuff over to Canvas, and I saw their lesson plan, and every day had 24 boxes because she had 3 students that were on a 6th grade reading level. She had 3 students that were on an 8th grade reading level. She had 1 student who was an emerging reader, and all of that had to be planned for in her one reading time.
All of our resource teachers' plan book look like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So make sure that when you start sharing and you start planning, now more than ever, make sure that you add your resource teachers to your Canvas pages so that they have access to those files as well. And it may not be even the resource that you think. So you may teach 2nd grade. You may have a 6th grade resource teacher who needs access to your materials because that's where their student is working. So make sure that we communicate, and you guys know your resource teachers. You have amazing resource teachers at Broadmoore. So just make sure that you keep those guys, give them access to your material, because this is probably going to be the hardest for those resource teachers just because of all of the material that they have to.
We have a resource teacher who spent time in junior high last year, so that she's already agreed to help our other resource teachers and as needed too.
Good, good. All right, so we've taken a picture of this PDF. We've kind of got an idea of how we're going to link. We're going to go right into building a homepage, okay? So let's take a look here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so we are going to go to pages. We're going to view all of the pages. And we're going to add a brand new one, okay? So I'm going to click on the plus page up here. Now this white area is a blank canvas. This is your smartboard. Anything that you put here, think about it as something that the students see on your smartboard. Above this is called a rich content editor. So instead of having to understand how to do web design or HTML coding or anything like that, this is your super simple visual way to build a page. So some of these across the top, these are exactly what you would think. These are your formatting options, okay? Background colors, formatting, centering, superscripts, the whole 9 yards, just like on Word. Now, Canvas is a little bit limited in the number of fonts and formatting, and they did that intentionally because they wanted everything to be nice and simple. And they knew there's research that says that if you use 10 different fonts, it's distracting for students. It doesn't transfer well sometimes to cell phones. So you don't have a lot of different font options for this, and that's okay, because if you want to get fancy, I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Now this second row under here, this is the most important thing for your page, and that is a table. Now your table is simply going to be your anchor points. Your students are not going to see the table, but the table is going to be in the background, and it's super easy to add in a table. And it is going to allow you to anchor pictures and videos and text where you want it. And it also allows your screen to resize based on the display that the students are using. So if they're using a cell phone or an iPad or a laptop computer, it's going to scale it so that it's nice and uniform and they can see everything on the screen. So that's super important. So we're going to start by inserting a table. Now, if we click here on table, you can see that we have table properties. So we're going to take a look at those table properties real quick. This is super important. I don't want you to change this width for your table to anything other than 100%. That's your auto scaling. That's going to tell the computer that if you have a small screen or a big screen, it's going to automatically stretch it or shrink it to match the screen size. Okay? This border, when you publish, you don't want to see the table. So you're going to change this border to 0 so that the students don't see the table, but it exists. Now, it's still going to show the table to you as you're editing so that you can make sure you still know where everything is, but the students aren't going to see it. Okay, it's going to be completely in the background. All right, and then we're going to go to advanced. You're not going to worry about this, okay? This is part of the coding, but you can select a border sign. If you want them to see the border, just like Word, you can change it to dashed or inset or solid. We're not going to worry about this because we're not going to use a border. We are going to look at the background color, okay? Now, normally you would put in a really complicated code for this, but Canvas allows you to do simple. So you can say you want a blue background. All of a sudden your table has a blue background. You can go back in and you can say, instead of blue, I would like light gray. Oh, it didn't like that one. Some of it does. But what you're going to do is you're going to use the HTML code. All right, so let me see if you guys can see this. I'm going to come up to the top of my screen and I'm going to search for HTML color codes. And this website will allow you to find the actual code for whatever color. Now, this colors from images is super valuable. So let's say you have a graphic and you want your page to kind of correlate with your graphic. You can upload the image and this will tell you which codes, which colors were used in that picture. So you don't have to kind of find them. You can go by names. So if you have, if you want to just type in the name, you can type in Indian red and that will give you this color. So if you don't want to do the codes, you just want to use these, this is what you would use. So let's say we want to use a light pink, okay? So we would come over here and in our table, back under advanced, we would do light pink. And now our table has that color. So it takes some of the coding out of it. So this is a really good page right here. And then it also has the option to look at a color wheel. And from the color wheel, you can get the code. So let's say I want this color. So I'm going to take this code and I'm going to type it into my table. With a hashtag in front of it. Or pound symbol. And that will give me that color. Okay, so don't feel limited to the colors that you can choose. You can just find an HTML color code and pick whatever color that you want. Okay, so sky's the limit on that. Once you have a background color, you're going to start, this is where you're going to build your clickable links. So you don't want to put a lot of text for your kindergartners. You're going to want to put a lot of images. You're going to want to put buttons, okay? So here's a couple of things that you can do. You can embed an image. So let's say in the middle, I'm going to put in an image. If you have an image that is already on your computer that you've saved from a website or a photograph or something that you've chosen, you can go to Canvas and you can upload that into your course files, okay? So there's two, there's My Files and Course Files. My Files you can access from any course. So if you have something that you use in all of your courses, you are going to put them in My Files. If it's something that you're going to put into your sandbox that you're going to share with someone, make sure that it's in files. I pretty much put everything in course files. I don't use the My Files a lot because pretty much each of your courses are going to be standalone. So I would upload an image to my course files and you just pick it just like anything else. So let's say I wanted to put in a picture of a triangle. I would choose that image from my computer. And that image would automatically be uploaded to my table. So now I have a picture. So, kindergarten. Think of pictures or graphics that would explain where you want them to go. So if you want them to click a picture to go to their math lesson, maybe your picture just has a picture of the numbers 1, 2, 3. So anytime they see that picture and you model it in class, they go, oh, this is what I need to click on to get to Mrs. Argenbright's math lesson for the day. So when they're at home, it makes that transition very easy. When you get ready for story time, maybe you put in an image of a book. And so when you model that in your class every day, you say, okay, it's story time. We're going to click on the book on the smart board, and that's going to take us to our story for today. So that when they're at home, they know, oh, it's story time. Mrs. Argenbright always clicks on this picture of the book. That's what that modeling is going to do. So they're going to get used to seeing you work through that process in Canvas every day on your smart board, so that when they're at home with a grown-up, they're like, this is what my teacher does. And that's going to be that instant instructions, okay? And then, remembering that they're going to have a parent at home, you might put, click here, go to math. So you've got that dual instruction. So one the kids knows, and then one is for help with that parent whose kid says, I don't know what to do. All right. So we're going to make this a link. All right, so let's say that this is the graphic that we use every day to send our kids to the math lesson. I'm going to click on this link. And at this point, you would have already built the assignment. So I'm going to come over here to assignments on the right screen. Yours might actually be on the bottom of your screen, depending upon the size of your display. And here's where you can link it to an assignment. So I've already built assignment 1. So I'm going to click on that. And now this image is a clickable link. So I'm going to go to Save and Publish so that you can see what that looks like for the student. Oh, it's telling me that I must enter a title. So I'm going to put day 1. All right, so this is what the students are going to see. They're not going to see any of those borders for the table. It just looks like a clean website with a picture. So they're going to click on this picture, and it's going to take them directly to the assignment for the day. Did everybody see that? All right. Now, I'm not going to go into building assignments and quizzes and all of that right now. That is in the 4 sessions that you can take for the elementary training. There's also lots of videos on Canvas on how to build assignments and quizzes. If you need more information on that, you can always go to the EdTech office hours. And those are going to be on the calendar, and I can send you guys out a link to that at the end of this, okay? All right, so let's keep looking. One other thing that we can do for our page, so we're going to go back to pages, view all pages. We're going to look at some other things that we can add to this. Oh, no, I didn't want that one. I wanted ours. All right, so any image or text, you can create a link to anything that you've already created in Canvas. So you can add another page. So let's say we have our home page and it has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we can use that same homepage all week and then just copy it for the next week. Each Monday, so we would say Monday, we can create to a link to a new page that we've built for Monday. So I would highlight that text that I want to become a clickable link. I would go up to my pages and I would choose the page that I wanted to use for Monday. And so now that word, it underlines it, just like it does in regular text, becomes a clickable link. So when they click on Monday, it takes them to the page that you've built for Monday. And that may simply have a video. It may simply have a copy of the notes that you're going to be going over that day, but super simple. Okay, so we've done links to pictures. We've done links to text. Now let's do a video, okay? Now, you're going to want to add YouTube. So I want you to come down here to settings from your main navigation. Let's save our changes. And if you've attended the videos or the sessions that Moore Public Schools done, you've already seen how to do this. So we're going to add the app, the YouTube app. One of the things that we want to remember as we're doing this for our students is we want them to leave Canvas as little as possible. We really want to avoid sending them to a website outside of Canvas, because we all know what happens when you send a second grader to a website. 3 clicks later, they're on a porn site. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So anything that we can contain within the Canvas page is going to help keep these students safe. So we're going to add the app and go back to our page. You only have to do this once for each course.
And by adding that YouTube, for example, YouTube app, it filters it with the Moore Schools filter, so we don't have to worry about the pop-ups and all of that happen if they just go to YouTube on their own.
Absolutely. It actually eliminates everything. So it's going to embed that video within your page. So let's go back to this page. And again, we are going to, I hit the wrong button somewhere. Oh, I did immersive reader. I'm sorry. So we're going to edit it. Okay, so remember, this table is going to be our anchor. So if I want the YouTube video to be down here, that table is going to help me anchor it to the bottom right. Okay, and let's see. It hasn't popped up yet. Sometimes it takes a second.
For those of us that are as needing his intervention as much as I am, when you say this is our anchor, is that the same as saying like the square on our lesson plan template that we've been handwriting for 30 years?
No, it's kind of like, okay, imagine on your smartboard, you have a picture that's at the top of your screen, and you could click on that picture and drag it to the bottom right, and it stays there.
Okay.
This table is going to allow you to anchor all of your pictures and your text so it stays where you want it to. So if I didn't have this table and I inserted the YouTube video, it would automatically put the YouTube video all the way on the left, and then the picture would be right above it and the text would be right above that. There would be no way to get an item to stay where you want it on the screen. So this is your anchor. Let me go ahead and refresh this screen and see if that YouTube video pops up. No, it's still not there. It's going to come up as a little icon here. I already have that in another one. I want to show you exactly how that looks. So let me open up one of my other sandboxes. So here's one that I've built. So you can see this one we were just kind of playing with. It has the table. So it's anchoring our images and our texts and our links. So we're going to click one of these tables, and here's that YouTube. So once you add the app, you're going to get this little YouTube icon. And you would search for your YouTube video the same that you would. So let's see, let's do math addition. So here's addition up to 20 from Kids Academy. We're going to embed this video. That's it. Now the kids would come, they would see this picture, they would click on it, and it's going to play that YouTube video. Notice what you do not see. You do not see ads. You do not see pop-ups. You do not see suggested videos on the right side of the screen. You do not see subscribe to my channel, like my channel. The only thing the kids have access to is the video. And if the video has closed captioning, you can have closed captioning available for the students as well. So this is invaluable for distance learning, because remember, Anything that you want to teach, someone else has already taught it, someone else has already made a video of it, and someone else has published it on YouTube. Okay, so I actually have a YouTube channel that I am experimenting with. My high school students insisted that I do that. So when I record my lessons, I actually upload them to YouTube so that I can link them like this directly. And my students don't have to download a video. They don't have to go to any other app. They don't have to go to any other website. It's embedded within the class, okay? We can also create a button. Okay, so I know some of you guys don't like the text, but you want it to look more like a button. So I'm going to show you what I've done in the Broadmoore, because I've kind of made some buttons in that. So this is the website, this is the page that we've created for Broadmoore. You can see it's very clean, it's very simple, it's very organized, but it's also very editable. So if I handed this to a kindergarten teacher, they don't do bell work in kindergarten. So they may want to come up to this, see how now you can see where the table formatting is? They can change this to weather. They can change this to math. So this is a very editable page. You can make it look however you want. If instead of Monday, if I say, well, this is going to be all of our morning activities. So this button is going to be calendar. This button is going to be weather. You can make these look like whatever you're going to be teaching. You can add new buttons, you can delete new buttons. Like I could come down here if I needed an additional one. I'm going to show you how I built this. So
can I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely.
Scroll back up.
Yes, ma'am.
And you see how your morning one is bigger than your math one? How do you merge those cells?
Oh, great question. Okay. So what I did here was, I'm a math teacher. So greatest common factor is just something that I do naturally. So I knew that I wanted 3 cells across the top. I knew that I wanted, let's see, 7 cells across the bottom. So I made a table with 21 rows and columns, and I did merging, okay?
Smart.
Let's say I want to put a picture at the bottom. So I'm going to select all 3 of these cells, and I'm going to come up here to table, cell, and merge cells. And now I have a single cell that allows me to do that formatting. Great question.
Perfect, thank you.
That I changed my mind, I can go back up there to that same cell and I can split it back into 3 again. Thank you for that. I almost skipped that step. Okay, so let's say I want to add another one down here underneath Friday. Notice that I used additional rows and columns to space everything out. So my button is going to be that entire cell. So I'm going to click that cell. I'm going to come up here to table properties. I'm going to come down just the cell. I don't want to change the whole table, just that one cell. So here's where I can do things like the background color. Right now it's white. I want to change it to navy. Now it's a navy cell. I want to take this and put a border around it. If you look at the student view of it, it's got a little red border that matches the Broadmoore colors. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up here to my cell properties, and I'm going to select a border style for this one. I chose inset. Inset and outset make it look more like buttons than just a standard line. And I'm going to put my border color, and oh, I can't remember the code that I used, but let's do, we're just going to type in a random code. Pretty much anything you type there is going to give you a color. And then I would put my text. So this might be homework or Thursday folder or whatever else you might want to add. So now I've created a button. All I have to do now is create a link. So if this is going to be an internal link, I just select the text and I'll come over here and I'll choose a page or an assignment or a quiz or an announcement, anything I want to add from within Canvas. If it's an external link, then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on this chain, and that's going to be a link to an external website. If I want that link to go to a YouTube video, then I would choose the YouTube video up here. If I wanted it to go to something that I record, all right? So this is a really good one. So I'm going to show you this insert, edit, media. So this is where I can embed something that didn't come from YouTube. Maybe it came from Flocabulary. Flocabulary allows you to embed your videos without sending them to the Flocabulary site. You can have a general source with dimensions. So if you have a file that's saved on your computer, you can link it there. This one here is to record media. So let's say you want to record your own message. So an end of the day message. So you would click on this. You're going to allow it to use your camera and your microphone. And Mrs. Hendricks is getting cameras and microphones that the Media Center is going to allow you guys to check out. So you will have access to this technology. So you can simply say, hey kids, thank you so much for all the hard work today. Make sure that you clicked on all of those assignments and you saw your confetti to make sure that you got it turned in. And what I want you to do tonight is I want you to go home and I want you to find something red. And I want you to take a picture of something red tonight, okay? And so you can show that to me tomorrow. Have a good night. And then when you click that link, your video just magically appears as if you were a technological whiz. I'm not on the student view. Okay, let me go to home. So if you ever want to see exactly what it's going to look like to the student, you're going to come up here and hit the home button. And there's this little eyeglasses that says student view. So this is what their page would look like. They would click on the homework. Oh, I didn't have that link on. I'm sorry. Let me leave student view. I recorded it, but I didn't link it to the actual text. So let's do that again. Now we should have that video in our files. Here's one that we had from earlier. We'll just add that one. Okay, so the students are going to see this. Oh, I made that cute one. So you can just add whatever videos that you want as links. Okay. All right, let's see what else we can add to this. Let me open up the page again. All right, so we've done links to external URLs. We've done videos, table for formatting. We've done images. Math teachers, if you want a separate lesson on putting in math equations for quizzes and assignments, let me know. It is almost as powerful as the Microsoft math editor and inserting equations and symbols. For elementary school, it does absolutely everything that you need for math. So if you want some help with that, but again, there's lots of videos on that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so that's pretty much it for building a page. We've done how to do buttons. Now, some of you guys say this is great, but it's not fancy enough. So I don't know about you guys. I tell this story in all my classes. When I started teaching, I was not a bulletin board teacher. So I had a parent come in and build my bulletin board for me outside my classroom. It said Mrs. Argenbright, 6th grade math, had a couple of symbols on it. And that bulletin board stayed the same all year long because I am not creative. Across the hall, I had an amazing co-teacher, and she was all about bulletin boards. And her bulletin board changed by season, and it was laminated, and it had pictures of the kids with their names underneath it. And she would put little happy birthday hats on them. And she loved bulletin boards. For that teacher, this is not going to be enough. And I get that. So let me show you how to up your web page a notch if you really want to. So instead of adding just a button here, I'm going to add a Canva picture. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to canva.com. All of the Moore Public Schools websites are made using Canva. All of the web pages that they've done, all the stuff that Andre has created for all of this comes from Canva. So you can do all the fancy stuff that he can do. When you do this, I'm going to go ahead and log out so you can see what it looks like to log in. Do not set up a new account. Do not pay for an account. You already have a link with your Moore Schools account. So just log in with Google and log in using your Moore Schools email and password, the same one. This is part of that single sign-on that you've got. Wait for it. How many of my children are on their Xboxes right now?
Wendy, let me say to everybody, Canva is your new best friend. For buttons, for home pages, for everything.
Yeah. It's not as easy to edit it after the fact. So for each new button or for each new page, you're going to have to create a new picture. But once you have it permanently. So it's not as easy as just changing the text and the buttons. But if you really want to step it up a notch, this is where you're going to go. And I am not quite sure what happened to my internet. So. Oh, goodness. Yes, I will continue to wait, computer. I'm not sure if this is me or if this is Canva, but well, we may come back and do this in a second. But I actually have a video that I might send out showing you how to create content in Canva. There's lots of tutorials in that. It looks like the Canva page is running a little bit slow right now. Yeah. Okay, but I can show you what that looks like. So let me go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to show you what we created with Canva for some of the high school classes that we did during distance learning. So all of these images that we added to the cards on our Canvas courses, all of these were created with Canva, okay? So that kind of shows you, here's the pre-AP distance learning that we did. We created this image in Canva. We were able to choose a cute background and add the text for the week and then just embed it as an image. And then the students simply had clickable links to all of their assignments. And we created a different one for each individual week. So in our pages, please don't be scared by this. There are way too many pages in here. I played a lot. So let me find one of the other weak ones. Yours will not look like this. Okay, so here's another one that we did. We created this image for week 2 in Canva. We inserted it into our table, and then we had all of the clickable links. We had links to the Moore Public Schools website that had the tutoring times. We had the link to some extra credit activities that we used from the textbook. We had links to the notes. So each day they would click on that, they would watch a video. These would be the notes for the day. If you're a math teacher, this guy is amazing. I love him more than Khan Academy. So they would just click on the notes, then click on the homework, and they would be done for the day. So just kind of think about clickable links and where that can get you. Let's see, where am I at on my list? Okay, oh, let's talk about linking in Clever. So let's go back to your Broadmoore. Now, in the future, the online textbooks are going to integrate with Canvas. However, that's probably not how you're going to model the online textbooks at school. So we want to keep this as close to what we're doing in the classroom as we can for the students. In school, what they would do is they would log into Clever. Use for the younger kids, they would use their badge. So first day of school, you're going to create a Clever badge for all of your littles, laminate that, and have it ready to send home with them so that they can access Clever from day 1 at home. So what you would do here is normally they would go to the Moore Schools website. And they would scroll down until they saw the little circle that said Clever. And they would click on this Clever link. Well, you want that link to exist in your Canvas course. All right. So anytime you want someone to go outside of the website or access something, you're going to find where you would normally click on. And instead of clicking on it, you're going to right click. And then you're going to do copy link address. This will give you the actual website for wherever you want them to go. So now that's in my clipboard. I'm going to come back to my page. And let's say for math, I want them to go to the textbook. So for Monday, math, I'm going to highlight this, either the image or the text, whatever you want to be clickable. And I'm going to come up here to my link to URL. And all I have to do now is right click again and paste that link. I don't have to worry about the HTTPS's or the forward slashes or the dots or the backslashes or anything else. It automatically updates it. So now when the students click on that, I'm going to save my changes. I'm going to go back to home so that I can do that student view and see exactly what they're going to see. So they're at home, Monday for math, they click this button and it's going to take them straight to the Clever login. This is what you've already modeled for the students at school, okay? If they have a Clever badge, they're going to hold up their Clever badge. For the upper grades, you can have them use Office 365 to log in. They log in using that single site sign-on just like anybody else. And now they have access to all of their online textbooks, any district programs. Okay, so if you're using any of these resources, instead of worrying about external links, go ahead and just use that Clever, because that's what you're going to model to the students when they go to the computer lab. And this is going to be very familiar to them. So their textbook they would access right here, and it automatically logs them on, takes them to your class through the Infinite Campus link, all of the grades. So instead of having to, and we kind of came up with this, Barbara and I found this out the other day, don't recreate your textbook homeworks in Canvas using the assignments. They exist here. Don't recreate the quizzes that your online textbooks have in the online textbook. They're right here. Use the ones, don't recreate, don't add any extra work. So you would make an assignment in the online textbook, add the link to Clever, model how those kids are going to find the assignments, and then your textbook's going to grade them for you. And all you have to do is put those grades into Infinite Campus, okay? Some of your online textbooks, I'm not sure about the elementary school, some of them actually link to Infinite Campus. But the district coordinators would be able to help you figure that one out, okay?
They don't yet, but they're working on being able to do that before school starts.
Good, good. So
Especially
that's
for like third through, or maybe second through sixth.
okay, fantastic. And pretty much the rest of the stuff is going to be in those 4 sessions. So let me show you now. We got about 15 minutes left. I just want to take about another 5 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes we're going to open it up for questions, and I can stay on as long as you need me to go over some of that. So what do you do now? You've seen the 4 sessions for the training. You've seen this on how to build your web page. Now we're going to kind of turn you loose and say, okay, go. Don't wait until August 13th to get the first 9 weeks curriculum from the curriculum coordinators. They're building it, and it's really designed for those teachers that we hire on August 11th. And those people who are just graduating from college and don't have any resources and don't have any of the materials. You guys are more than welcome to use it, and you can bring any of that content into your course, but you should go ahead and start building the framework for your course. So when you get that content, it's just a matter of dragging it and dropping it in, okay? One of the things that I love about Moore Public Schools is that they rely on teacher autonomy. We hired you guys because you know what you're doing. You know how to teach. You're good at finding the material that works for you. A lesson that works for you may not work for another teacher. You may have different teaching styles. You may have different students. And so the district is really good about allowing you to teach your own material, your own way. There are going to be some consistency issues, especially if we go into this distance learning. In March, I had 4 students at home at 4 different schools. I had Sky Ranch Elementary, Brink Junior High, Westmore High School, and Belmont University. And all 4 of them were doing distance learning, and it looked different for every single one of them. And it was so difficult for me as a parent to stay on top of what everybody's doing. By keeping this consistent, you're going to allow the parents to help you help the students. So as you're building this, some of the consistency that the district is looking for is not necessarily because they want to take the control away from you as a teacher. It's so that if you think about it, I had one parent, bless her heart, 2 weeks into the quarantine, her husband walked out. She had 5 children at home and 1 laptop. 3 of them were in secondary school, so they each had 6 classes. The younger kids had paper packets. Every teacher's Canvas page looked different. So just the secondary students, she had 18 different formats that she had to learn. One teacher used home pages, one used modules, one used assignments. One had everything due on Friday, one had everything due Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. One didn't have anything due until May 15th. And so that student was like, oh, look, I don't have anything to do today. I'm going to go outside. That's what we're trying to help here. So the consistency that the district is requiring of you is not to try and force you into some type of mold, but it is because we are going to be relying on these parents to help us keep all of this under control and on track. And the easier we can make it for them, the easier it's going to be for us. Okay. So when you start hearing, well, you have to have this, you have to have due dates on your assignments, you have to have everything listed in the calendar, you have to have your papers on there, that is going to ultimately be a benefit to you in the long run, because you're going to get so much more help from the parents if it's nice and cohesive. Okay. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But you're going to have to be resourceful for the next month. So we all have those teacher wishes. Oh, I just wish my students would be more resourceful. They're at home and they don't know how to do the problem. They could get on YouTube and watch a video. They can open up the online textbook and look in that. There's so many different things that they can do. We have to do the same thing. So there are YouTube videos on how to use Canvas. There is the Help Center on the dashboard that has a link to all of the Canvas guides. So if you click on Help from anywhere in Canvas, you can go search the Canvas guides. And these are the people who created Canvas, showing you how to use it. Nobody knows how to do it better than these guys. So you're going to come down here to the Canvas guides, and then you're going to click on Instructor, and everything you need to know is here. Okay. So let's say you're still working on your pages. You're going to come down here. You're going to click on Pages. All of these are PDF, step-by-step, with pictures, guides on how to do everything that you need to do in Pages. How to add people to your course so that you can share content. Okay. How to change your profile and your user settings. How to do a quiz. Different types of quizzes. All the stuff that we kind of touched on in those 4 sessions. This is your details, okay? This is where you can go in and do absolutely everything. Likert scale. We didn't cover doing Likert scales and quizzes, but you can have them on a scale from 1 to 5. How you feeling today, okay? So all of these are great resources. My favorite one though, and it is exactly where you are at right now, is a Facebook site called Canvas for Elementary. Okay. I'm not going to pull up my Canvas page because there's no telling what my crazy Texas family has posted today, and you probably don't need to see that. But
most of them have access to that already.
Good.
I've added as many as I could, and then they're adding each other that they see.
It was started by a bunch of elementary school teachers who wanted to share content. And word has gotten out to all of the elementary students across the nation who are having to prepare distance learning right now from ground zero. And so every question that you think is too stupid to ask, 10 people have already asked. And 20 people know the answer to that question, and they've already posted an answer and a link to a video showing you how to do it. So use that resource. It's a really, really good one. And use us, edtech@mooreschools.com, or email me directly. We have office hours every Wednesday and Thursday where we can do a face-to-face Zoom. So you log in, you're the only teacher there. You've got Michelle Hammond, who works at EdTech, who knows all about Canvas. She can see your screen, you can see her screen, and you guys can walk through all of these problems. So use that resource as well. All right, I am 2 minutes past when I was supposed to stop talking. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop. And you guys can unmute yourselves if you have a question, or if you would prefer, you can ask a question in the chat room.
Wendy, this is Mandy Lindquist.
Yes.
What is the best format to use if you want to do an interactive notebook with Canvas?
Okay.
Is there a like a magic place that you can go with that?
I would do your interactive notebooks in a page. And so in interactive notebooks, generally you're going to kind of set up a problem and then have the students fill in the vocabulary or draw a picture or something like that.
Well, the ones that I have is we cut things out and glue them, and then we add stuff to it. So is there any way to like put things on the page that they can put there, and then they can type in the things that I'm telling them to type in?
Yep. I would probably use a quiz for that.
Okay.
You set it up, and then you have the fill in the blanks, or you have the part where they type it in. I would set that up as a quiz.
Okay.
One of the things that we have to remember is that not all of our students have access to a printer, and not all of our students are going to have access to a device that allows inking, but they're all going to have access to a camera. Every student, someone in the house has a phone with a camera on it. So if we can provide a PDF copy and they can write their answers, even if they can't type them, they can simply take a picture. So think about that type of interaction as you're developing this, and you're putting this PDF out there, that they're going to have paper and pencil and they're going to have a camera. And that might be the easiest way for them. Well, we hope they have paper and pencil, bless their little hearts. And that's probably going to be the easiest way to get feedback from some of the littles.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. This is Cheryl.
Yes.
So when we make our front page like you had up, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I can link Monday to a page that has reading, math, science, and social studies.
Yep.
And then they can link off that to another page that just has social studies.
Yep.
So it's just a bunch of links from one page to the next.
Yep. And
Awesome.
And copy. Build one page and use that page every single Monday for the entire year and just change the links.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was trying to do modules and it just wasn't working. So I just should make everything a different page.
Let me give you this analogy for modules.
Okay.
Your modules are going to be your lesson planner, your lesson book.
So you have one.
And all in one.
Yeah.
So you can have your modules for week 1 and all of your activities under that module for week 1 for your organization. The students, especially at the elementary level, are never going to see that. They're never going to see that list of assignments or that list of quizzes. The only thing that you want them to have access to are those clickable pages. Just keep it nice and simple. But that module page, that will work as your lesson plan, because it says everything that you're going to do that day. And if you want, and let me show you real quick. Am I still sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So let me show you some of the things about those modules. I'm going to go back to one of my curriculum courses. I'm going to show you a couple
You're in
of
student
things.
view.
Thank you. I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can add to the modules that's going to cover all of the requirements that you need for the district. So here's that distance learning. I'm going to go to a module. And so here's our week 1 module. Everything that we had a clickable link to is right here. All of the assignments, all of the tutoring times, the notes, everything is right here. Now, to make this into an actual lesson plan, think of those extra things that you put on your lesson plans that you don't necessarily show to the students. So your objectives is a big one. So you would come up here and you would add, instead of an assignment, you're just going to add a header. And that header may be, let's see, we would do geometry 1, reasoning, and we would put that standard, okay? And that tells them what standard that we're using, and it just becomes a header, and we can move it up to wherever we want. We can also come in here and we can add a file. So that file may just be a physical picture of our paper lesson plan that you've already got and you use every year, and you can just add that file to it. The students don't see it, but your observing principal is going to have access to your Canvas page. And so at any point they can go in there and they can see your lesson plan and they can have that as well. So think about this as kind of your organizational system, okay, where you can keep everything. And you can make this, you can indent.
And that's how I'll be doing the lesson plan checks this year, guys. Instead of, yes, I'll still be coming around to the rooms and everything. But when I'm ready to do lesson plan checks, I'll just pull it up digitally
Mhm.
and review things that way. So you won't have to unbury it from, you know, the stacks that you're teaching from that day, the second that I happen to pop in,
Or, oh darn, it's sitting next to my bed and I forgot to bring it in.
Absolutely.
'Cause I was
We're all
working
human.
last night. So you'll have everything right here. So think about this as where you would do your lesson planning. But yeah, the students should not see the modules.
Okay, so when we link to pages or assignments and not modules.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, any other questions? All right, I'm going to show where those, that calendar link is.
Wendy, can I ask you a question real quick? This is Eva Burnett.
Mhm.
So I watched a video on that Facebook group, the Canvas for Elementary, and in one of her tutorials, they actually did use modules. And she
Okay.
said one of the benefits to the module setup was that they could actually, after each page that you had listed there was a box at the bottom that said next. So it kind of like moved through. So my question is, I know we want some autonomy between our teachers, but, and this may be a question for Mrs. Hendricks also, are we at a point where we're like, only do the pages not to confuse parents? Or I guess my question is, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time this summer setting up modules in my practice course and then it'd be like, oh, well, really, we only want to do pages because we don't want to confuse parents. Do you get what I'm saying?
Eva, what grade do you teach?
I teach third grade.
You teach
So
third.
the way she had her modules set up were basically, she still had the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on the page.
Yep.
But when they clicked on Monday, it took them to a Monday page, and then it had a next arrow, and then it took them to reading. And then she'd have an assignment for reading. And when they finished that, they'd click the next, and it would kind of work them through.
You can do that as long as you've modeled that sufficiently in front of the students in the classroom.
Okay, so it's not something at this point that we're like, hey, elementary, nobody can do modules.
No.
Okay.
I will add too that as long as you're consistent with it, like Wendy said, and modeling it, that's the key. Because that way your students will know this is what we do in our class and be very comfortable with that. It doesn't have to be the same, because really what third grade might do is not going to be the same as what pre-K needs to do or what sixth grade needs to do.
Right, okay.
I would think that as a team, especially when you're the departmentalized fourth and up, it would be wise to discuss using a common format with using that, modules or pages, because your parents are going to be accessing all of that. And, you know, you might, I don't know, Wendy, this is just a thought, feel free to chime in, because I'm new to this as well, but would fifth grade benefit more from having a fifth grade page with a math module, science module, all of those, the different subject areas, so that they just go to one page?
And that's kind of what the district is recommending, is that first landing spot. Okay, we call it the front page. Needs to be a page and not a module. So when a student logs in, they don't see just the module. So like you said, they start with that page that has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that's that consistency. As long as you've modeled what to do from there, the parents are going to be like, oh, well, today's Tuesday. I'm not going to click on Thursday. I'm going to click on Tuesday. So that home page, that landing page, I think is that consistency part. Then
And
from
they cannot
there,
release it early too. So if it's
Yes.
Monday, they won't be able to see Thursday, so someone can't work ahead until you release it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
absolutely. Great question. All right, anybody else? I've put a link in the chat room for the EdTech calendar that has the rest of the trainings. So for some of you that are looking for more detailed training like media specialist, specials, ELL, resource, we're going to be adding those trainings in July. So keep checking back with this calendar and make sure that you stay on top of those. Let's see. They also have some all-in-one training. So if you've already done the 4, but now you kind of want a refresher, we're going to be doing some where we do all 4 sessions in one day. And we've done 2 of those so far. One of them is actually going to start today at 1. Emily's got one today at 1 o'clock. So if you wanted to do that one as a refresher, it's a great way just to all at once see all the material again. And we've gotten some really good feedback. For some people that just works better than splitting it up into 4 different days. So make sure that you check this calendar. And then the office hours are on here too. So you can see today we have office hours that start at 1 o'clock, 1 to 4, and it's just a Zoom meeting just like this. You would click on that link and be able to access those office hours. Okay, so are feeling a little bit better?
It's just going to take jumping in and doing it, and then using the resources we have available to us to help us
Absolutely.
take steps forward.
But we're used to this. I don't know if you guys remember, I do, because it was my very first year teaching, 2014. We had been using PASS standards, and then they said, hey, we're going to go to Common Core. So we spent the entire summer redoing all of our content with Common Core, buying stuff off Teacher Pay Teacher, developing ourselves, getting new textbooks. And then 2 weeks into school, they said, oh, we don't like Common Core anymore. We're going to create some new standards, but we don't have those yet. So all of those old PASS worksheets that you just threw away, go find those, because that's what you're going to teach. And then next year, you're going to have new OAS standards. So we are not unused to having to change things midstream. We're Oklahoma teachers. We can handle tornadoes. We can handle new standards. We can handle old standards. We can handle 30 kids in a classroom. This is a piece of cake. We got this.
And I realize you don't have to be in today's meeting. Ms. Mumble will get you just a second. But when we return, I've taken, the reason I ask to have your names in our chat is I don't want to miss anybody. But when we return in August, you'll have something inside your mailbox as my thank you to you for attending this training that wasn't one of the required. This is an above and beyond the above and beyond. And so thank you very much for being here and taking part. Wendy, I can't thank you enough.
No problem.
For your time, expertise, and again, I'm just very, very proud of you and all that you've done.
Thank you.
Ms. Womble, did you have another question?
There will be something in Wendy's mailbox, her real mailbox at home.
Good.
I didn't
Yes.
know if you told her that yet or not, Barbara, so good, I'm glad. Ms.
Yes, I did have a question. And again, thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Barbara, for taking care of this. I'm just trying to think how it will look if you have 4 different grade levels and how that would look and what you would expect, Deborah, when you walk in. Because would I need to have a page for each one of those, and I could probably only have one of them up at the same time?
Absolutely.
Or
I mean, I can see where that's probably mind-boggling, and even just for mind-boggling to me on what am I going to expect. So I know this is kind of a trial year, and I know Trenda Purcell has taught multiple grade levels before using Canvas. So we're going to use her expertise to help us know what worked well for her.
right?
And just grow from there. I mean,
Okay.
to answer your question to the best of my ability right now is if you're working with second grade, then second grade's what I'm going to need to see up there. Or whatever for those kids. They may be a third grader, which we haven't publicly announced it yet, but this is a great time to do that. Charlotte's going to be due to caseloads and scheduling doing K through 3 next year, and our other resource teachers will be 4 through 6, and that'll help us with our scheduling things and like that. We'll still have 4 through 6 math resource and 4 through 6 ELA resource separated. But I would just think whatever the needs of the students you're working with at that time is what would need to be accessible on the board. So if I walk in when you're working with first graders and they're needing kindergarten resources, okay. Whatever meets the needs of the students is what I'm going to expect.
It's just that I might have several grade levels working in there at the same time and would need access. There's not a way of me doing just one overall
No.
with each one underneath. It'll be per grade level, correct?
believe so. Is that right, Wendy?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the way that hers links, the courses linked together has to do with how the students are listed in Infinite Campus. And so she might have, 10 students in the room, and each one of those is listed in a different Infinite Campus course. So
Right.
I'm
So
gonna,
hers is going to be different. There's no way she can have everything up. That's just whatever's helping you meet their needs the most at the moment is what I'll expect.
and it may
That's
even be
realistic.
that you think of it as centers. So I know in the past, I've seen you teach where you've got a certain group of students who are reading a book with you at one corner, and then you have your para who's doing math with another group on the other side of the room. And so it may be that you use iPads like centers. So instead of the smart board, you might have your para has an iPad with the information for that group, and then you have an iPad that has the information for this group. So you kind of have that duality that you're used to using within Canvas instead
Okay.
of one.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I would have up on my smart board the majority of my students, whatever grade level that was. And then I would have my paper plans out on the desk for you to look at to see what the others are doing as well, Deborah.
If you choose to do the paper plans too, I'm not going to require the paper plans. And I know I'm the kind of person that probably do both for a while, which is probably not working smarter, but harder. But it's just kind of taking the training wheels off. But I just don't want it to be double work for you or anybody else, because that's.
Well, and speaking of that, and there's been a little bit of confusion with this. Going digital does not mean going paperless. Students still need to write things down. You still need to write things down. If you are a list maker, make a list. If you love your paper lesson plan and you've been doing it for 20 years and it works for you, keep using it. So we're not telling you to take something that works for you and throw that away. Keep doing what works, and let's find ways that this can make your job easier. We don't want to double up. We don't want you to do a full paper lesson plan and a full online plan, but we also don't want you to think that you have to throw away everything that's been working for you for the past 20 years. We're going to find a middle ground, and that may be different for every single teacher, of what works best for you. My husband is a federal employee. He telecommutes. Everything that he does is on a computer. He works from home. He does meetings with people in Washington, D.C. all the time. He has a legal notepad in front of him. That's how he works. So don't think that you have to throw away all of your paper if that doesn't work for you. So if you need to, sit down and talk with someone and see what that's going to look like with what you have, give us a call.
And I'm going to respect that we're all learning and growing in this. I mean, it's not like it's something that you've been doing 20 years and I have a different expectation at that point. So just as long as we're all doing the best we can with what we have and we're taking steps forward, that's going to be exactly what I expect.
And the parents and the students are super understanding as well. At the high school, I was the first one to bring in technology. And so I would walk in the room and I said, hey guys, guess what? We're going to try something new. I have no idea what it's going to look like. It's probably not going to work today, but let's see if we can figure it out. And we kind of turned it into a game. What's going to break today? And we figured it out together. And I would release an assignment at midnight, because that's what Canvas does. And at 12:30, I would have a student going, your link's not working. I'm like, go to sleep. Call me in the morning. But the kids are understanding as well, because trust us, this doesn't work for us either. We've come up with issues all the time. We have kids wrestling in the background. We have 6 people trying to Zoom on one internet account at the same time. So everybody, especially the parents and the students, so we're super understanding this year, and they will be next year too. They're just going to be grateful to get their kids out of their house.
And I will say we've not had, I've had 3 phone calls for option 2. Only one of those will qualify. So at this point, we have 1 student who will qualify that I've approved for option 2. We haven't had any calls over to Hart Brown's department for the online. No applications have been received or even requested for the online full-time. Now, we know some of those may wait till last minute. and that kind of thing. But I would anticipate, a large portion of our students still being in your classroom for instruction that way. So
Yep.
a numbers very similar to what we've had in the past.
Yep.
Ms. Womble and any other, Ms. Followell, you as well. If it's going to mean if you're looking at this and you think, well, I could do that, but I don't have those laptops in my room or those iPads in my room.
Right.
Email me and let me know what you envision doing and what needs you have that you don't have, and I'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Thank you.
And we can help with the ed tech department too. So let me know, Deborah, what resources that you need. If you don't have those in your building, let me know what we can do too.
Well, I've kind of set on some funds that I have to be able, because I knew this was coming.
Okay.
So I'm already working on, for all of you, seeing that I'm able to have everything you need in your classrooms. Chad's working with me, our site tech as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I will let you get back to your beautiful day. The UV index is an 8. So if you want to work on that tan, today would be a great afternoon for that. So, all right, everybody have a great day. Thank you so much. This was a huge group. Deborah, you've got a great group of teachers this year.
I sure do. We say only the best at Broadmoore, and now you see why.
Awesome.
Third grade teachers, I'm anxious to be working with you. This is Charlotte, and I'm just going to say my daughter hopped on and watched this one.
Glad she did.
Wave at them.
I am. Thank you guys for letting me kind of creep in your, I teach high school sped functional, but some of this is going to apply to me as well because I have
You're always
different
welcome,
levels.
Lauren.
So Wendy, thank you. Deborah, thank you. Thanks, Mom.
I'm sorry I embarrassed you.
No, any
All
training
right.
we have, Lauren, that's appropriate for your class, you're welcome to join us.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It was great seeing some of my Sky Ranch buddies again.
Got some good ones.
I know. All right. Well, y'all have a great rest
You
of your
all.